Welcome everyone to How to Play the Blues. This is lesson number 2 and it's a 12-bar blue 2.0. So what that means actually is that it's a bit more advanced. We're going to look at some stuff that changes up a standard 12-bar blues to a more advanced 12-bar blues without doing anything too difficult. So the first lesson we learned how to play a 12-bar blues in G, and I reckon you all know how to play that right now, even in open chords or in bar chords. In this video we're going to look at the bar chord system because it's used more and it's easier for me to explain it in this system, but anything can be turned back to open chords if that's what you like. So a simple way of enhancing a 12-bar blues, just right off the bat we're going to go by changing the 12th bar. Now the 12th bar in this case was a 1. It was a G chord and it was a 1. We ended on the G. But in order to make it sound more like an ending, we can also change that G, or that 1 chord, to a 5, in this case a D, because we're playing in the key of G. So what we need to do for that is just change it, and real simple. Most blues progressions actually have that 5 chord at the ending. I don't know if you ever, if you listen to a lot of blues, most of the times they have that 5 chord at the ending. The reason they do this is because it really it tells you that it's the end of the 12-bar blues and a new progression is coming, a new 12-bar blues is coming up. So for example, we're just going to play to a 12-bar blues as we did before, normal 12-bar blues, but that last chord we're going to play the 5th chord. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, G. We're going to the D, to the C now. And back to the G. Now to the D and to the C. So this is going to be our 11 bar, and here comes our 12. And we can just start from the top again. So as you can see, that simple alteration in our 12-bar blues made it already a bit more bluesy, at least in my opinion. So that's one way you can change up your 12-bar blues. Now, as I'm doing these videos, I think it would be real useful to just get yourself a piece of paper, make all those little 12-bar schedules on there, and fill them in. Fill them in if you want them in chords, if you want them in numbers, and just make yourself a lot of different kinds of blues progressions along the way. And it will be real helpful because, in my opinion, if you write something down, you already memorized it a lot more than just looking at it. So, and at the end you have a lot of different 12-bar blues progressions. So another thing you can do at the ending of a 12-bar blues, instead of making it 1 and 5, you can actually split the bar in half, and you can make it 1 4 1 5. So for example, it was all a 4 count, so it's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. So that was the ending of the 12-bar blues. But now what we can do, we can play 2 counts of G and 2 counts of C, which is filling up 1 bar. And then we can play 2 counts of G and 2 counts of D, which is actually a real, I think it's one of the best ways to end your blues. So you can go 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. So that's also a different ending to your blues. So let's play the 12-bar blues and use this ending just to see how it sounds. And 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 2 3 4 4 2 3. We're going to the C now. And back to the G. Now to the D. And to the C. Now we're going to do that weird ending. So that's another way of ending a blues. And maybe with this rhythm it doesn't sound that impressive, but when you put a nice rhythm, a bass guitar and a drum in the back of it, you can really feel the end of the 12-bar blues coming. So those are 2 different ways to change your blues. Now another thing you can do, and this makes it a bit more difficult because you already learned the standard 12-bar blues, and exactly as in the first video, you need to learn this until you get them by heart. You can feel them coming. So this thing is about a 2nd bar in the whole 12-bar blues. Now we were playing 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4. But now we're going to change it up. We're going to go 1, 4, 1, 1. So a second bar is going to change to the 4 chord. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you get it, right? We're just going to change the second bar to the 4th chord, so to a C. So this does a lot when you're singing along to it. I really like to do this when I play the blues. I really like to change the second bar to the 4th chord because it gives a bit more, it gives it a bit more, how do I say, I think you will hear it as I play along to it. So I'm gonna sing along to it. We're gonna do the exact same song as in the first video just to make it easy. So it's Drink That Bottle Down. So you go, what's a man supposed to do when the blues has got him down? What's a man supposed to do when the blues has got him down? He wake up early in the morning and he drink that bottle down. So as you can see, we just changed this very standard 12-bar blues to a more advanced 12-bar blues, which makes it a lot more interesting. Now, before I end this video, I want to do one more thing, and I already did it in that song. I did it by accident, but it's just because I use it a lot. It's to change a chord to a 7 chord. And what a 7 chord does, it kind of tells you like you need to switch. You know, you need to go right now to the other chord. So real easy thing to do is if you're, let's just look at a standard 12-bar blues. You can use this in any of the blues we just described. You can change your G to G7, which actually all you have to do is remove your pinky from that chord, and you already made a G7. Now, if you wanna add on a little bit to it, you can put that pinky that you just removed on the 6th fret of your B string. You actually have 2 7s right now because this is a 7 and this. That's a 7. So you have 2 7s. As you can hear, it's the exact same note, only it's 1 octave higher. So, what we can do now, if you play that standard 12-bar blues, we're gonna play 4 times the G chord. But the 4th G chord, the 4th bar, we're gonna make it a G7, which kind of tells us, switch over to that C. That's the reason you play that 7 chord. It not only sounds nice, but it also tells you like you need to switch. You need to head to that 4th chord. So here we go. Real simple. We're just gonna play the first 4 bars of G over to that C, and the 4th bar is gonna be a G7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, C. I think you get it right. You can change that chord to a 7. You can even do the C chord. You can change that to a 7 as well. Now the way to change that to a 7 is to remove, well, we barred it with our ring finger or pinky, whichever you prefer. But what we're going to do now is we're going to bar the index finger on the 3rd fret, and we're going to use our ring finger on the D string 5th fret, and our pinky on the B string 5th fret, which leaves this little hole here. And that's our 7th. So it sounds a bit different from what we can also do, which is more, which I prefer and I use a lot more, is a D7 in this way, or C7, I'm sorry. So what we do here, we use our ring finger on the A string 3rd fret. Then on the D string we're going to use our middle finger on the 2nd fret, our pinky on the 3rd fret of the G string, and our index finger on the 1st fret of the B string. So we also have a G7 chord. The reason I like this one better is because it's easier. That's the whole reason. It sounds a bit better to me as well. And especially in ragtime and jazz, I like to move with the bass. So that's the reason I use this chord more often, whichever you prefer. So we can also use that chord. Now if we were to make this blues and fill in some 7s, you can already hear a big difference. according to a normal blues when we use no sevenths. So let's get the more advanced progression, use sevenths and sing along to it and see how it sounds. And we're not going to change the rhythm. We're going to try to do as much with the rhythm. We're going to keep the rhythm the same as we just have, just on the count. And you can already hear a great blues progression without even doing cool rhythm stuff. Alright, here we go. What's a man supposed to do when that blues has got him down? What's a man supposed to do when that blues has got him down? He wake up early in the morning and he drink that bottle down. So now you learned how to make a simple blues into an advanced blues. You learned how to play 7 chords in the progression, and just go out with it. Just try anything you like. If you think, and this is really important as well. If you think like, oh, I want to add more to that. I want to add a 6 chord, or I just don't want to play for 1 bar. I want to make it 16 bar. Whichever you want to do, it's all good. You can do whatever you want. That's the great thing about music. It's whatever you want it to be. But this is just a standard which you can practice, which you can learn, and I'm pretty sure that any jam session you want to play the blues, they're playing any of these kind of varieties of progressions, and you can just jam along with it. Play chords and whatever, and further along in this tutorial we're going to learn how to solo over those chords and solo over those progressions, and you can learn a lot more. So write down all the progressions, all the different kinds, make your own kind if you want to do that, and you'll definitely learn a lot about it, and make sure you learn them by heart. You don't even have to think about what you're playing anymore, you know it. You know it already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.